Good morning, Ultimate Family. Me and Jack's the Wonder Dog here. He's licking his chops. Are you licking his chops because you're excited about what we're going to talk about, or are you just... he's probably just being... He's just being Jack's. I wanted to chat about something that came up in a conversation yesterday with somebody. It was actually someone who's worked with me through my Creating Your Extraordinary Life experience. It's a... Devin! What's up, brother? It's a small group journey that I take people through over the course of 3 months. This is somebody who has graduated, I guess you would call it. He's now part of the community. Truly an extraordinary gentleman. He was getting on a plane to head over to Africa to do some work. He had just created this whole possibility for him to go do some work in Africa. He loves Africa, so he's going back there. This guy also, in the course of our work together, was essentially reunited with his son. Reunited is kind of a strong term, but the relationship was pretty distant, and it was amazing to see them come together. And one of the things we talk about in the Creating Your Extraordinary Life is integrity with our word. This notion that I learned from Steve, being our word. And it's about the degree to which we have integrity with our word, right? Wholeness with our word. And I'm not going to go into that concept a lot today. I might share that at some point because it's definitely worth talking about. Devin could give a master class on that. Couldn't you, Devin? I know you could. But the simple idea is that the degree to which we create intentionally with things like our, Jack's snorting, with things like our declaration is only the case based on the degree to which our word has integrity, right? Steve talks about it in the book, like, I forget how he talks about it. I always use the example of if you're building an apartment building and it's a concrete apartment building, and like the contractor or whoever's doing it is like, I want to save some money, so let me mix in, I don't know, sand or other crap in the concrete. Well, how's that building going to do? Well, it's not going to do well. It's probably going to collapse at some point. Well, that lacks integrity. The fundamental material from which it's made lacks wholeness, lacks integrity. So there'll be problems no matter how beautiful the building is without, what is going on? Just a little snorts. So the idea is that if we're going to create powerfully in the world, ourselves, possibilities, whatever, well, that's going to ultimately be dependent on the degree to which our word, that which we're creating with, has integrity. So if my word lacks integrity, well, I'm going to create like I'm building a concrete building with crappy concrete, with watered down concrete or diluted concrete. And then there will be problems. I can't create as powerfully. Anyway, that's a topic for another day, but there's a little bit of context. What was interesting is this gentleman was sharing with me that he was frustrated with the degree to which his son lacked integrity. So really the question was, how do I talk to my son about integrity? And if we kind of, pull back, what do we mean? What did he mean? Well, he says he'll be here at a certain time, and he kept me waiting for 20 minutes. He doesn't keep his word. And he had other examples of that. And he was about to get on a plane. Actually, he was about to have lunch with his son and then get on a plane to go to Africa. So I'm like, hey, we'll need to talk about this another time. But let me give you something really short and sweet and simple that you can sit with and you can look at from who you're being, right? Because even the question, what do I do about somebody else who lacks integrity? Well, that would be doing. I always like to look upstream, and my guess is a lot of the people here in this forum are learning and appreciating and really, really marinating in the possibility of moving upstream to the being that creates the doing, right? So what do I do about this guy that doesn't have integrity? Well, that's one question. Who would I need to be to handle this situation? Who would I need to be to help this person? Or there's other questions you can ask. So to me, it's always upstream, always about going upstream to who are we being. I'll get into that a little bit in a minute. But I said, I want you to look at this from the perspective of being, not what you need to do with your son. What's the conversation to have? Who would you need to be to have a powerful conversation with your son or anybody about integrity, frankly, about anything, everything? And what I shared with him was a very simple idea, and that is acceptance is always the starting point. That's a very simple statement. It might even sound trite. What I mean is, I can approach anybody or any situation from non-acceptance. This ain't right, aka judgment, and then try to do something with it. You know, the bill in my restaurant thingy, folio, whatever you call it, is wrong. They charged me for something. I could call the waiter or waitress over and be coming from a place, they got this wrong. There's something wrong here. Something needs to be fixed. Well, that's going to have one set of doing associated with it, right? Being, somebody's trying to screw me here, is going to prompt one kind of conversation. Being, oh, this happened. Nothing wrong with this other than we need to have a conversation. Acceptance of it is going to produce a different conversation. Think about all the interactions that you have on a daily basis and all the situations and conversations you're in where you're, well, quite frankly, hoping to enroll somebody in an idea or share advice with them or give them your thoughts or collaborate on a project. Who are you being in that conversation? Well, a lot of times we're being, I'm right, need to convince them. They don't see it correctly. I got to fix that. Well, again, that's going to have a certain set of actions follow. That's going to, hey, Tony, kind of a rainy day in Florida, isn't it? By the way, hi, Karen. I just saw you there. So what I was sharing with him is first and foremost, you show up in a conversation, the very thought, how do I get this person to, that might be the clue that you are not in acceptance of how they're being, what they're doing, how they see the world. Well, everybody knows you're supposed to be on time. Well, I got some news for you. No, they don't. Not everybody sees integrity the way I do. Not everybody sees commitment the way I do. Not everybody sees a lot of things the way I do. Not everybody sees tracksuits the way I do, right? So what I was sharing with my friend was this idea that at the very least, if you're going to want to have a powerful conversation with your son about integrity, well, who you're being, where you're coming from is going to be critical. If you're being, he's doing it wrong, I'm going to teach him how to get it right, that might work, except his son's not a little kid anymore, so he doesn't have to listen to him. My experience is coming from the place of non-acceptance. Hey, Janet. Yeah, Tony, we are. Coming from a place of non-acceptance, aka judgment, well, it's a lot harder to move people. Who would I need to be in absolute acceptance of what is as it is, right? Somebody shows up late, somebody doesn't honor their word, somebody is, at least by my definition, out of integrity. Non-acceptance of their integrity is an uphill climb to help them see the power of integrity. So one of the things I do in this small group that I run is I talk about integrity and I talk about agreements, but I do it after people have showed up late, by way of example, or taken a call in their car, right? Now, I don't say, hey, you're not supposed to do that, you should know it. I use that as a lesson of acceptance, right? I use the fact that, somebody showed up 5 minutes late for a group call to say, okay, let's talk about agreements. Let's talk about what we want to agree to here from the place of Bob showed up late and that was okay. Why is that okay? Well, it's okay because we never talked about it. I'm an acceptance that that's what had to happen in his world. There's no excuses, not even an apology required. We were not in agreement. But this idea of beginning from acceptance of anything is power, right? You are just Mr. Licky Licky today. What's going on? This idea of from acceptance, I can create powerfully with another being, with another human. From this idea of they're wrong, they don't see it right. I gotta help them see the truth, or I gotta fix something, or what have you. There's always resistance. So, as an idea from this, concept of being, what if you never had a conversation with somebody from any other place than acceptance of what they're doing, who they're being, as exactly perfect in this moment, right? And I'm not perfect at this, but what I aspire to do is, before I engage with somebody, check in. Who am I being? Am I being judgment of them, needing to fix them, or am I being acceptance? Am I being, this is what it is. This is how they see the world, and they're taking whatever actions they see from that place, and there's no other way they could be doing it. That's the definition of acceptance. You could call it non-judgment, right? I'm not judging it as good or bad. I'm just in acceptance of it. To me, acceptance is the center point. I've had enough of the dog. Does this thing where he just licks obsessively, but we love him. I'm in acceptance of Jax, and from that standpoint, he can go off my lap. So anyway, that's the idea. How do I talk to blank about blank? How do I talk to anybody about anything? The answer from a being perspective is you would want to be in acceptance of them. And then from the being, I accept who they're being and what they're doing as the only thing they can be being and doing. From that place, well, watch how the conversation shifts on your part. And then watch how whatever words you speak are received differently, right? That's kind of all I got to say on this beautiful, rainy, drizzly Florida morning. If you guys got questions, reach out, let me know. Always happy to share. Have an amazing day.